Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dugout Talk Podcast. I'm so excited to be kicking off this new year and new format with such an exciting topic. In the interest of sticking to my promise of short episodes, let's get right into it. 2026 MLB season is going to be the most important season of this century. Now, I know that just sounds like an incredibly bold statement to build hype or suspense, but there is significant reason to believe this. It's not so much about what's happening on the field, even though that does definitely play a role, but rather what is happening off the field. Today, I'm going to be kicking off the Dugout Talk Podcast coverage of the 2026 MLB season by explaining what are, in my opinion, the three major reasons for why. So let's get right into it. First, it's the automatic ball strike or ABS challenge system. Now, we got to see the ABS system in action last year in spring training and the All-Star game, but in 2026, it's going to be a part of every single regular season MLB game. Now, I don't want to really get into my personal opinions on how I feel about it or any of its issues. Rather, I just want to highlight its objective implications that's going to have on this season. First is that this is not a small rule change. It's a really big one. The ability to challenge balls and strikes is not a small matter. And the way it's being implemented is going to add even more strategy to an already heavily strategic sport. Now, first of all, I'm going to go and say that it's highly likely that some teams are going to be a lot better at using the system to start out. Teams that have better stats, people will just be better at using this. Now, we will also see a variety of ways that they're going to use their two challenges. In fact, we may even see a team have different strategies depending on the game, depending on who they're playing, who their starter is. I mean, we're going to see a lot of different approaches to the ABS challenge system. And it's not going to be the same for each team by a long shot. So the thing is, I want to just say that no matter your thoughts on this rule and some of its potential issues, like I said, that I'm not going to get into today, it's definitely clear that ABS is going to add an additional layer of in-game strategy that could definitely add a lot more entertainment to the game of baseball, which is something that Commissioner Rob Manfred has been trying to do. Now, just like when the pitch clock was added a few years ago, we are going to see the outcomes of games affected by this. That's going to happen through both failed and successful challenges. It's going to happen through failed challenges because failed challenges are going to cause teams to then not use a challenge potentially later when they really should have, right? That's going to cause them to get more conservative with it. And they're also going to see successful challenges, perhaps extend a game or just simply change an outcome that would have otherwise been different with just the umpire's call. Now, here's the thing. Like I said, I really have no interest in getting super deep into the minutia of this rule, since I'd kind of like to save that for later conversation on the Dugout Talk show. But I would definitely like to hear some of your thoughts on the ABS challenge system in the comments of this video, or of this podcast. Now that I've gotten the on-the-field part out of the way that I think is far less important, even though it is interesting, let's talk about the far more interesting off-the-field stuff. First up is the end of the collective bargaining agreement. So the current collective bargaining agreement, which was set a couple of years ago, is ending on December 1st of this year. And when it does, we are going to have a lockout until a new one is reached. The problem is, like a lot of times before it, this could take months. Why? Well, it's the new discussion that's going to be added in probably after this year, which is the salary cap. Now, here's the thing. Most other pro sports have a salary cap of some form. It's limited to how much each team can spend on a player's salaries each season. In the NFL, if you exceed the cap, you get fines and may even lose draft picks. And the NHL doesn't even allow transactions that would put a team over the cap to take place at all. Meanwhile, the MLB has had the luxury tax system since 2003, which only forces teams to pay a fine if they exceed a certain salary threshold. The problem with that is simple. If the only penalty for something is a fine, then it's legal for the rich. And no one is richer than the Los Angeles Dodgers. Now, there's a lot of great videos breaking down why and how this is the case, but here's the basic thing you need to understand. The Dodgers have positioned themselves in a way such that no matter how high of a luxury tax they will incur, paying it is of no concern to them. And here's the thing. If things continue to stay the way they are, then there will be some teams who will figure out how to do what the Dodgers are already doing and will start doing it. And the thing is, this will not be a thing that every team is actually capable of. And as a result, there will be probably about 3 or 4 teams, including the Dodgers, who will perennially have juggernaut teams and will probably be, for the most part, the teams that make it to the World Series every year. And the rest of the teams will basically look like the Rockies or the Marlins. That is not a situation the league wants to find itself in. We already have a problem with teams who just are not competitive. And this is before we add in a salary cap. So the idea is add in a salary cap, bring teams like the Dodgers and maybe even the Phillies and Mets down, and give teams like the Pirates, Marlins, Athletics, Rockies a chance to be more competitive again. And that sounds great. This sounds like a win-win. You can be on a theoretically bad team, and now you actually have a decent chance of being competitive because the other teams are not just creating this insane financial salary gap. But here's the problem. The Players Association has no interest in a salary cap. When I say no interest, I mean that they have pretty much said that they are not willing to even discuss it. Meanwhile, team owners want one badly. So we now have 2 diametrically opposed positions. We have a group that most definitely wants a salary cap, being the owners, and I think, honestly, fans. And we have the players who just want to make as much money as possible, who know that a salary cap would likely influence a reducing of some of their salaries, at least to an extent. And so as we approach this, we need to recognize that this is not going to be a short little, this, that. No, there's not just going to be compromises to be made. It is either all in or all out on this issue. And that is going to take a long time to resolve. Meaning that, sure, we've been saying for a while that, we might not play baseball in 2027. That is a legitimate fear that we should be having. That there will not be a new collective bargaining agreement reached before that deadline for us not cutting off regular season games, which is sometime in March. Seriously. Think about it. We're talking about probably about 4 months of negotiations. That's all that we have to have for us to not reach a decision for an on-time opening day. 4 months. If they talk about this for at least 4 months, we do not have opening day on time, and we are going to have to reschedule stuff like we did a couple years ago. And I don't think it's insane to say that with as all in or all out as this issue is, it most definitely has a high chance of going beyond that. Now, granted, there's definitely a chance, even though it's so they're saying there's a type chance, for them to reach an agreement before the CBA ends. Like I said, it's 1 in a million. So realistically, that's not happening. This will probably be taken into the offseason. And not only is that an issue for getting games started on time, but again, we have a player lockout. Teams cannot sign free agents. Which leads into the next issue, which is that the 2027 free agent class is absolutely filled to the brim with talent. Just looking at the unrestricted free agents after that year, that's not even factoring in potential club options or player opt-outs, just the unrestricted free agents, guys whose contracts just are ending after the 2026 season. We have George Springer, Robbie Ray, Tarek Skubal, Shota Imanaga, Gleyber Torres, Brandon Woodruff, Trent Grisham, Kevin Gausman, Ian Happ, Ha-Sung Kim, Nick Castellanos, Chris Sale, Taijuan Walker, Jack Flaherty, Jameson Taillon, Seiya Suzuki, Lance McCullers, Raisel Iglesias, Randy Arozarena, Jorge Soler, Pete Fairbanks, Shane Bieber, Brady Singer, Taylor Ward, Jesus Luzardo, Max Muncy of the Dodgers, Jazz Chisholm, Nico Horner, Dalton Varsho, AJ Minter, Blake Trinan, Robert Stevenson, Alec Boehm, JP Crawford, Tyler Mahle, Adolis Garcia, and Andrew Kittredge. I just named I don't even know how many players, probably at least like 25 or 30 players. That is just getting through all the guys whose previous AAVs were 10 million or higher. Oh, by the way, the top of that list is Anthony Rendon, who probably will not be still a major league player after this year, but who knows? He also is technically on that list. And I'm not even going to begin to expand that to the, again, club options, player opt-outs, all of those that we could also potentially see players hit the free agent market. And again, look at some of those big key names and look at the pitching. Tarek Skubal, Shota Imanaga, Kevin Gausman, Shane Bieber is up there, right? We have these huge starting pitching names that are going to be hitting the free agent market. And of course, starting pitching is a precious commodity in the sport. But then we also have some other big bats hitting the market. I mean, sure, he's a bit older, but George Springer is still a solid player. We've got Ian Happ, Seiya Suzuki, right? We have a lot of talented hitters hitting the market as well. And so we have this huge free agent class that's going to be hitting the market after 2027. And none of them are going to be able to sign until that new CBA is reached. Meaning that once it is, we are going to see a scramble like we've never maybe even seen before of teams vying to sign these players in some potentially outrageous contracts that will be heavily affected by what will probably be a salary cap in the end. I really just don't see any way that we get out of this without there being a salary cap, and that they will just eventually find a way to make the players agree to it. Meaning that all these players are going to have to somehow get signed on in this new salary cap, meaning it is going to be an incredibly chaotic offseason leading into the 2027 MLB season. And the crazy thing is that this is not just a future possibility that, oh, hey, you should maybe be thinking about. Teams and GMs are already considering this fact. Look at the way some teams are spending right now. Sure, it's business as usual for the Phillies and Dodgers, who, honestly, it's not surprising to see that, but the Braves, the Rangers, two teams that I personally support, have been taking a much more conservative approach, as have many other teams. And it makes sense. Why would I pour all of this money into a big contract of multiple years for a player who wants that, when that entire thing could get completely messed up after a new CBA next year? It just doesn't make sense. So teams are playing it extremely conservative, offering one-year contracts of decent value, right? Because in preparation of, they don't really know what it's going to look like after this year. And so, again, the 2026 season is incredibly significant because the things that are happening after it are already influencing the way teams are behaving before the season has even started. So as I just try to wrap things up here, I want to just again say that the 2026 season is going to be of great significance. We don't really know what's going to happen this season, but what we do know is that it probably doesn't really matter. The salary cap conversation is probably going to need to take place, even if the Dodgers don't win the World Series, even if they have a crappy season because of injuries. It's still going to need to happen because, again, what's stopping other teams from doing this? Well, what the Dodgers have shown is, with a little bit of luck and some smart thinking, nothing. And so, let's enjoy this season, knowing that it could be the last season of its type. And maybe that's for the better, but I think I'll leave that up to you guys, what you guys think. So please do drop in the comments what you think about all of this, how you think the season is going to go down. I cannot wait to continue to just keep talking about baseball and talking about the free agent signings that we are seeing ahead of 2026 as we continue to go into these weeks. Also, very excited to get to start talking about the WBC coming up here as well. But anyways, that is all that I have for you guys today. So excited again to be now onto a new daily format. And so I will be seeing you guys tomorrow. Have a great one. Thanks for listening.